The links at your channel here over at SubStars. So this is the dumbest article I've read in a while. It seems to be somebody who's like covering their ears and going, "La, I can't hear you," type of thing. And I think this is the chick who wrote that bizarre article about the Eternals, which you're like, I haven't seen the Eternals. Yeah, most people haven't seen it. The Eternals bombed, and she goes, "Yeah, but it was the most diverse movie ever. How could it possibly bomb?" So obviously, in her mind, diversity equals audience bait for the audience. They hear diversity, it's like, oh, I want to see that movie. No, that the opposite is true. Let me just more people just need to be like me and just be polite, honest, polite. I'm polite, but oh, if you're an SJW, turn off the video and block the channel. Politely honest about saying diversity is cancer. It's not a selling point. It's the opposite. It pushes people away. You see some Larry Fink United Colors of Bennington diversity checklist on screen. Oh, they're going to be MarySue characters because the left wing is terrified of writing non-fair skinned, light-eyed, light-haired characters. They can't do it. I could do it, but obviously Hollywood's not knocking on my door. So no, diversity is not a selling point. For how do you do it? How would you possibly write people? Oh, just treat them equally. Oh yeah, we're not gonna do that. Yeah, that also means you can't make the blonde man bad in every story. In some stories, yeah. In some stories for sure, but not every story. And like, are you saying you want us to make non-blonde characters as the bad guys? Yeah, that's part of treating people equally. Is they have to be. Yes, you're going to have to make non-white characters as the antagonists. And they look at you like, get out of this building. That diversity is not a selling point for the audience. We're sick of diverse movies and feminism and all this kind of woke talking points. And, you can ad hominem and deflect and strawman all you want on Twitter, but it doesn't get butts in seats. Very much so, because Hollywood has been having a rough couple of years. Fair enough, the Wu flu had something to do with it. But even before that, that was it was not doing too well. And these people look like they got all their pokes and repokes. I can't. They're up to like. I probably shouldn't talk about that. It's just so tempting not to. You guys sure you made the right decision on that? Hashtag pure blood. The thing is, Hollywood and the MarySue people are so deep in an echo chamber that they don't understand that diversity is cringe and it's antagonistic to us. It's not a selling point. Or they pretend not to understand. Why wouldn't you want diversity? Oh, just not into it. Just really cringe. And then they want to straw man and ad hominem. But you go, but it doesn't matter why. You want to get into my personal psychology or why the audience doesn't want it. It doesn't matter why they want to engage in this contractual relationship with you where they exchange $18 for a ticket. The why doesn't matter. It just that matters is what you're offering is not what you're not having a meeting of the minds in this contract. They don't want to pay for this what they call woke movies. And until you change that, they're going to continue to not pay and listen to Odyssey live streams or heaven forbid read a freaking book. So the MarySue is this bizarre website where these girls live in an alternative reality. I mean, the copium is off the fucking charts. And the article is insane, even for them. That's why I'm covering it. And the short version is, she's noticing that Hollywood isn't doing too well lately. Wow. No S. So in a Leslie had, and the thing is, it was before the Wu flu, because it was like, it goes, Star Wars 2015 kind of was when people kind of noticed it, because it seemed like Disney went from the Pirates of the Caribbean, I think in 2003, which was a killer series. And then it all changed around 2015 when they got the Star Wars license. And it's like, what? This isn't Star Wars. This isn't even Disney. What's going on? And then Ghostbusters 2016 came out, and people were looking at that like, whoa, is this the new direction of Hollywood? You get 4 chicks, and they're not funny at all. So the article is nuts. She notices Hollywood's not doing well, and then this is kind of a Leslie Headland moment where she says that she knows how Hollywood can make a few bucks. When these people write these articles, they should indicate the number of jabs they've had, so I know if to take them less seriously. And what if you're working at the MarySue and there's like 16 girls who write for the MarySue, and like all of them have had there'd be a hierarchy and a pecking order of like, oh wait, you haven't had any of these things, like instantly fired. So in a Leslie Headland moment, she says she knows how Hollywood can make a few dollars. The reason they're losing money is not enough diversity. And she quotes some study that says that there are billions of dollars in the audience who are looking for Asian, Latin, Black movies or whatnot. You should, bring back those 70s Black movies where everyone dressed like pimps and there was always a bass guitar playing in the background and a guitar with the wah-wah pedal and, big long Cadillacs. And in fact, set them back in the 60s and 70s. Everyone had afros and have a lot of fun with that. So the thing is, yeah, that's true in theory that there's an audience out there and she's talking about these billions of dollars, but she doesn't take the next step to the conclusion is what exactly should the movies look like when she says more diversity will attract a non-white audience. And she skips one big issue. If you make movies for these specific audiences, do you take the old audience along? Because it usually doesn't work that way because people are tribal and they're sick of diversity and woke preachiness from Hollywood. In fact, oddly enough, even in the comment section of this article, some of these soy boys who read the MarySue are saying like they're kind of getting tired of the preachiness as well, which is interesting when even the left wing is... When Larry David and Seinfeld are telling you that Hollywood is going too far left. So the thing is, movies are already diverse, way, way, way too diverse, and Hollywood is still dying. And she even mentions The Little Mermaid as an example of a diverse success. I don't even know if it broke even yet. It's because the budget was so over the top. Or does she mean, for example, a Chinese movie should have Chinese people in it primarily and grab the Chinese market, which internationally would be a big audience for sure, but domestically is not, and the rest of the country is probably not going to watch it because it just doesn't connect to them. Or Latin movies with Latin actors, then they'd have to be in Spanish for the audience because that's their primary language, whether domestically or to the south, and there's a big market, but it has to be in Spanish. And you lose the rest of the audience. So in these focused movies, you're not going to take the rest of the domestic audience with you, and that's where theaters get the highest rate of return, domestic, not foreign. And the thing is, like, theater companies now are looking at China and realizing it might even be better just to do without the Chinese audience because they don't take enough of the return from China because that's just the trade agreement with them. So the whole article is so painfully stupid. Movies right now already have everyone in them, and they're not selling. She doesn't list any of the bombs, and there's probably like 30 pretty good sized bombs in the past decade that are perfect counter examples to her point. So she mentions the Marvels bombing, which is the Brie Larson sequel, and she says, oh, well, it was the writer's strike. They couldn't advertise the movie, but it seemed like the Marvels was pretty well advertised to me. But then if that's true, then why has everything else bombed? And that was a girl power hit. It's like, well, wasn't Charlie's Angels a girl power? Wasn't Ghostbusters 2016 a girl power? Why did those movies not do well? So Barbie was a big hit, fair enough, but it was just a nothing fluff movie. It had some feminist talking points in it, and it was a huge hit. And it was kind of coupled with the movie about the fat man and a little boy. I forget the name of it. And there was a weird kind of energy of those movies were combined, and people kind of memed both those movies into existence. But it had Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie as the leads, and it was vaguely about nothing, but men are bad, and like they're trying to portray Ryan Gosling and the men as bad somehow, but they took civil rights away from the men, and they said that in a straight face at the end of the movie, like, oh no, you can't be on the court. There's no representation for you. I was like, who put that line in the movie? And like, what kind of useful idiot, low IQ wankers thought that was funny? It's like, that makes you the bad guy, right? And there was a scene where blonde men in Los Angeles harass women when they left the Barbie world and they open up the space-time portal and go to LA or something. So they go to LA and they're harassed by blonde men. If you're not from California or LA, it's 30% white now, and LA is, I don't know, probably like 10% white. It's bizarre that you would think blonde guys are going to be the issue. They're not. But obviously they didn't have the guts to show the other groups who were there. So it's back to the evil blonde men who are so famous for crime. And she blames conservatives for not watching the globalist media propaganda, except the useful idiot liptards aren't watching the cancer either. That's the thing I don't get with all these movies. They blame men and they blame conservatives. You go, there's enough liberals and enough women to make all these movies successful. Why aren't they watching? And again, they don't have an answer to it because it's like, well, women just they want Barbie. Like, what was it about Barbie that they wanted? Oh, two beautiful blonde people. Yeah, yeah. It's like, I mean, that could have been some kind of like World War II Ubermensch propaganda. It's bizarre that they don't see that. So women are mostly not into the woke MarySue type of movies. Why didn't the Latin American audience or the Latin whatever audience, Spanish speaking audience, why didn't they turn up for that Trump derangement syndrome? The DC movie Blue Beetle, which you probably didn't see, was I don't know what it was. Something about Trump was bad and illegal aliens and whatever. Nobody saw it. And Charlie's Angels, girl power movie, and the women didn't go out and see it. Women could have made it a success. And there was that even that gay movie that came out. It was like Eichner or Eichenwald, the guy who was just a freaking weirdo. He's doing some interviews and the movie lost like 20-30 million dollars, something crazy for a low budget movie. And he gets on Twitter and he's blaming like not he's blaming everything other than the coastal zones. You know, California and New York. It's like, well, the coastal zones, the big cities were enough to make a $50 million gay movie massively successful. All it has to do is hit $150 million, and it's profitable. But they didn't see like San Francisco, California probably could have made that movie success. California and New York would have made that movie success. Like how come the gays didn't go see the movie? Probably because you look like a sociopath in that movie. The whole thing was freaking gross. I saw a few minutes of it. I was like, ugh. Anyway, so the real problem is that America is too diverse and the races just hate each other. Where back in the day when America was 80% European, you could just market to that audience and you'd be profitable. And comics have seen the same kind of thing. They don't know who to market to. But now America's about half white now, third Latin, so you can't make a movie for everyone. That audience the country's kind of balkanizing, and movies are going to have to as well, which means that the huge budget movies are on the way out. And it also means theaters are going to die out because they rely on an American demographic that's gone forever. And you're going to see a lot of stores that marketed like that, where comics could be successful up until about the 80s and 90s, and then as the demographics just changed too rapidly, you just couldn't have that much footprint dedicated to one group of people because they didn't exist anymore. So streaming services are just going to have to take over and offer lower budget propaganda tailored to each specific audience. But ultimately, wokeness is not the problem in Hollywood. Are you sure about that? Hollywood needs to do better with representation and inclusivity. This is all just Frankfurt School buzzwords. None of the things. Give me an example of a movie. Give me a script of a movie or the précis, a summary of a movie. Set up a movie for me that you think would meet these diverse elements. So like a Larry Fink, United Colors, Bennington Checklist, like The Eternals, which bombed, or like all the other movies that have come out in the past 10 years that have been super diverse and they bombed. So none of the things you're saying make sense. So you're gonna get like, yeah, the movies. I mean, they're not movies. The streaming shows, they're not streaming shows. I can't imagine. I would never insult the audience. I would feel bad for you if you tell me you're watching some streaming show. I gotta have my shows. Like it's just something a cattle would say. I gotta have my grass in the field. I gotta have my bread and circuses to distract me from what's really going on. It's not movies, it's propaganda. And like there's nothing Hollywood has to offer. Like no, there's no exceptions. I know you can't even come up with something because it's all crap. And if you think it's good, then you just need to go further down the rabbit hole because it's all garbage. No diversity, inclusivity, all the Larry Fink stuff, the die stuff, none of that is connecting with the audience. In fact, Larry Fink had a meltdown on some kind of conference call, and he had to double his security because I guess people are looking out for Larry Fink. Like most people don't even know who he is or much less what he looks like, but maybe the BlackRock shareholders are looking for him. Probably looking for Bob Iger too, wondering like, hey, Disney, are you going to turn this around and start making movies? Can you just go back to the 80s and 90s? I'm like, we're going to make everything, put a chick in it and make it gay. Yeah, but it's not selling. Have you considered selling? No, because that's not what propaganda is all about. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Join the subscribe stripe if you want the other sort of stuff, and I will see you guys all next episode.